Well, hello everybody. Let's play Combat Mission Afrika Korps. The next battle is going to be Assault on Perano, which is, like I said, based in Italy. And yeah, played a lot of African maps, so it's time to move on to the next chapter in the Mediterranean region, east coast of Italy, it says, Perano. And yeah, I mean, I chose this particularly because as you can see in the background, I think I read it. It actually follows right from the surrender of the corps in Tunis. And guess what? I played Tunis mission in Men of War. Basically, that was the end of the German campaign in the game. So I think this is a really nice segue into what's happening on the other side of the Mediterranean. And yeah, September 1943, Allied assault. So I'm going to be playing as the Allied principal in this battle. And it's overcast, warm, and damp, and 25 turns. So in terms of turns, it's not that long. So I'll be able to finish this in probably 2 sessions, or 2 recordings, that is. In actuality, it's going to probably take me 3 hours each, and I'm going to be edited down to 30 minutes. Yeah, so that's the process. And yeah, as I said, it's best played as the Allied versus the AI, which is going to be the Panzer Army Africa. Oh no, sorry, it's a Panzer Army Italy. I don't know what Italy is in Germany, but anywho, after the fall of Tunis and the surrender of Panzer Army Africa, the second New Zealand, so we are playing as the New Zealanders, was put into reserve for rest and reorganization. While their allies fought for the island of Sicily and a toehold in Italy, the New Zealanders, were organized into a light pursuit division designed to exploit successes with lightning thrusts deep into enemy territory. So they're kind of shock troopers. Very interesting. In September 1943, the division, now with organic armor, landed in Italy. What's organic armor? It was to be rushed into a campaign that was a war of position, a war it was designed to fight. War of position, I guess it means trying to take the high ground and see if they can actually protect the hills or something in Italy. I'm sure there are a lot of hills in Italy. Perano is a small village that in normal times was at the center of a small farming community on the eastern side of the Italian peninsula. In wartime, however, it was the gateway to the river Sangro, one of the many rivers dissecting the lowlands of Italy. The river formed a natural defensive against invading and even liberating armies. And the Sangro was a river that needed to be crossed before the winter snow and floods set in. Yeah, winter snows and floods definitely not a good thing for an advancing army if he wants to make it through winter. It's semi-historical, 1400 points, so there will be a lot of armament involved because it's a substantial amount of points, I think, not just infantry based. One of the reasons why I also picked this mission. So maybe it's based on a historical map. Wow, interesting. And I think New Zealanders were in the area, although I don't know whether the battle took place, but definitely it's, yeah, definitely researched beforehand. So it's going to be semi-realistic. It's going to pick the Allied side. And here is Operation Briefing. Lieutenant Colonel McGaffin. So I guess that's who we are, McGaffin. McGaffin's forces. We are aware that your regiment has only just arrived in the theater and is still recovering from its long road journey. But war waits for no man. Your tanks are needed to support an attack on the village of Perano by the 38th Infantry Regiment. Success here will preempt any serious resistance south of the Sangro River. The village dominates the bridge over the river. Capturing it will compel the Germans to withdraw their heavy equipment back across the river and below the bridge. So we're not supposed to capture the bridge? Mission. This village must be taken quickly and the approaches to Sangro secured. If it can be done fast enough, we'll be able to launch assault across the Sangro before winter. Intelligence. It's sketch at best. It is believed that the village contains only a small outpost with no anti-tank weapons. The start line for the assault has been set down across the saddle between Monte Torretta, and Monte Sentinella. The forces, 19 armored regiment. A squadron is 11 Shermans, pretty cool, and it's Sherman 3 mid, I guess, yeah, mid version or something that is upgraded version of the earlier Shermans that we used in Overlord. C Squadron is 4 Sherman, so it's a detachment that is away from the main force. Oh, Punjab Regiment. Look at that. One rifle company. I wonder whether that is actually composed of Punjabis or just a namesake, because we heard there were New Zealanders involved. 4th Field Artillery Regiment. Okay, so we have some artillery support as well. Pretty cool. Right, so here we are. The map. Verdant Hills of Italy. Yeah, it's really hilly, and you can definitely see the changes in the terrain. Yeah, as you go up the mountain. One is called Monte Centinela, the other Terracotta. And we have 2 groups here. The one in the south, no, not the south, east, a bit larger, or a lot larger, accompanied by the infantry regiment, and I think 11 Shermans. So yeah, it's a substantial amount, and each infantry is composed of, I think it's pretty balanced force, counting all the 11 Shermans here. And you can see just away from the whole group is the artillery regiment. 3 of them, in fact, 3 spotters. Yeah, so we're going to bring a lot of artillery fire, and I think given the amount of hardware we have in the battle that is going to happen, yeah, I think the small outpost bit was just not true. And here is the more descriptive, yeah, the survey of the troops, and it's rather well balanced with mortar team and Piat, and also the platoon itself is rather well balanced. Some machine guns and rifles and pistol, a lot of grenades. Yeah, so it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be very interesting how it all plays out, how our infantry and armor is going to support each other. And Piat makes a comeback, which is really welcome news, and also kind of suspecting that there will be some armor involved. I mean, even the mission briefing said there will be no anti-tank weaponry. Here we see the 4 separate detached Sherman, I guess, platoon heading toward this, you know, Perano, the village of Perano, in different approach, but it's kind of a winding road across the mountain range, it seems. So it's going to take some time, and here's Perano, the village itself. A pretty small village, and I think due to the hilly terrain, it's going to be rather difficult to approach, especially when it is perched near the top of the map. Yeah, in terms of its height. And the mountain ranges are going to be, I think we can probably use the side of the mountains to see better what is inside the Perano defenses. And the bridges onto the left. And here are the fording over points. I don't think the vehicles are able to cross this, but infantry will be, although they'll be hampered. You can see the bridge over the Pianello River, so it's not Sangro. Capturing the village itself is going to secure our position towards Sangro River, it says. Okay. Right, so here is the first move. I think we're going to make sure that the artillery spotters will be as near to the front as possible, because we want to take position as fast as possible in this 25-turn mission. And it's not going to be very long before we face the Germans. And aside from the artillery spotters, not really much happening. Just leave everything as they are. I think they're in a pretty good position to begin with. Especially the tanks, because they're on the road and is able to travel the fastest on it. Yeah, I'm trying to seek hold down position as we go over the hill along the road, accompanied by the infantry. Like I mentioned, the bridge is on the extreme left, so it's going to take rather long track across in full view by the whoever is in the village before we can reach the bridge. So it's going to be, I don't know whether the tanks will be actually going there, or they'll be split apart, accompanied by the infantry, of course, in order to find different other avenues of, at least get as close as possible to the river and support the infantry. Yeah, so for the artillery spotters, you want to get to the higher point than where we are. We don't have the direct view of the village right now. And on the other side, the four Shermans are going to make it a lonely trek on this winding road. Kind of afraid of course, the ambushes that might happen in some of the covers as we make our trip across this area. All the turns here that the Shermans will make will expose his side, make it rather vulnerable to any sharp-eyed German artilleryman or anti-gun tank crew. Yeah. So this is the setup. We are marching, and we're moving, and some of them are moving to contact, which is one of the better helpful features in this game over the last version of this game. And one of the infantry will try to head toward, all of the infantry will head toward the fording over point on the Pinello River. That's probably the closest way to approach the village in question. And armor is going to try to follow them as much as possible, give it heavy armor support if they can. But once again, in this type of situation, tanks are generally going to help the infantry advance, of course, but it's rather precarious right now because I don't know exactly what is up there, and as you've seen, the information or the intelligence is rather scant and not really helpful, I think. And here are the guys on the other side of the mountains trying to travel. And here we are trying to help the infantry at least advance up the hill for the crossroad. The artillery spotters are sneaking, although I think that's a mistake. I might make them move after this turn. So general approach, the tank stopped, of course, because I'm not too sure about the hold on position, seeking hold on position command. Seems it's useful, but just seems to stop, as long as it finds anything that they think it's hold on position, irrespective of whether they can see the enemy or not. So I don't know whether actually that's useful. So the next turn we are making general advance once again. We are trying to follow alongside the road, at least with one eye toward the rock patches over there, because that's going to provide us with some cover if we are under fire. And once again, trying to go for the fording over point, or we can try to make the trek across toward the bridge, but I think that's a bit too roundabout way of going, especially for the infantry. And here, we are still continuing our journey there up top. So we are moving to contact for the artillery. We are trying to sneak, but that obviously is going to take so much time. So moving to contact it is, and going to go to a rather rockier area. I don't want to force things a bit too much. So this seems to be a pretty well-trained and veteran group. They do take orders rather quickly and move about with minimal delay, so it's pretty cool. The tanks are following up once again, and it's another view of how many tanks we have. It's a lot of tanks. It's a general advance once again until we meet the enemy and hear gunfire. A nice looking tank. Nice looking tank with insignias now. This is the other group. I could have given them fast move, but I'm not so sure what to expect, so just gave them move to contact order. And here is the overview, or the top view of what is happening. I think it was rather interesting how the positions laid out. So no enemy contact so far. Things can change in a heartbeat as we are approaching the apex of that hill over the mountain. That's right, keep your eyes open and your ears too. So again, yeah, I need to give them a new order since the tanks have made their way, and of course the infantry also. So we are moving to contact in general direction that we are traveling in. Trying to find some cover though, because I do think that as we are heading toward the the crest of the, or the apex of the hill, or top of the hill, sorry, we're going to be seen by the Germans in the village, because they're also across across that higher ground there. And we do have higher ground, but they also can see us pretty well, I'm sure. Accelerated by the sky, that is. Yeah, and this is a rough patch. And we hear gunfire finally, yeah, so trying to track where it is. And this guy, this group that was traveling, I think south, yeah, was the one that got hit first by the tank, no less. So the intelligence was plainly wrong. Not only one tank, but two tanks. I think that is Mark IV. And three tanks. There's three tanks now. Pretty well hidden and hauled down. Yeah, and they're peppering us. They're not trying to even waste shells against our infantry. They just spring our troops. From their standpoint, they can just, they already have the town, so they can defend it and try to dissuade us from coming without exerting a lot of resources. Defensive positions, I mean, seem to be pretty good. Pretty easy to defend and to attack and try to dislodge the defenders. So yeah, I think they can sit pretty and try to take the position. One of the objectives they already taken. And we are trying to claw back the guys who were hit hardest, while the artillery seems to, actually wants to go and try to see what is happening and actually have a direct line of sight so that they can bring down the artillery. And the tanks here want to fan out a bit, try to see if we can go up the hill at the same time and try to target these guns at the same time with highest amount of firepower. But you can see how well they're hidden here. Only the turret is poking out, and this guy is actually shooting through the house. Yeah, so the tank is trying to fan out, but you gotta watch out in the rocky terrain alongside the road, because the tanks travel really slowly, and it's going to be further slowed down by anything other than the road. If it wants to climb up the hill, it's going to be slowed down like even 50%, so gotta be careful. And here we are trying to make it trying to find positions to hide ourselves in and also crawl back from the direct fire from the tanks. And these artillery guys wants to see if they can target the town. And there's another anti-tank weapon. It's called SP gun, but that's clearly a murder. So they have a lot of tanks they brought to bear upon the invaders or liberators. And these guys are going down. They already made their way down toward the river bank, so they can cross. And here you can see the tanks fanning out a bit and see, try to plan the next phase of action. And you can also see one of the other tanks trying to reposition itself, I think because they see the infantry trying to outflank them, so of course the tank going there is going to provide ample defense. And here is that winding road Germans trying to make its way. Yeah, they have binoculars and everything. I don't know whether they can see over the mountains like this. I don't think they can. They don't have any direct line of sight yet. So we see 3 tanks in full view, and I think there's another tank there in the left side, the Mark IV. And we are fanning out a bit here, as you can see. The Shermans have trying to move in a way that can add to the firepower as much as possible, broad front. And the next turn is going to be, trying to target it. This martyr guy who has kind of open top. It's not really well defended from any position. Doesn't really have any thick armor, so the mortar is able to damage it perhaps if it can shoot directly on the top of the Germans. And here we are making our way still. Yeah, you can see the line of sight is blocked by the mountain ranges. And I'm kind of afraid that there will be some ambushes awaiting us in any of the covers. The infantry heading toward the riverbank has already almost made it, and they're moving to contact, while the other guys are now trying to clamber onto any kind of cover and see what happens, and waiting for the artillery strike to soften these Germans up a bit. These tanks are the last of the tanks coming up the rear, and they're just waiting for the artillery, I think, to try to soften them up before mortar is actually targeting some of these tanks, especially the martyr over there, moving toward the better position so they can have a better view of the area, and further machine gun firing at the none other than against our artillery spotter, which is pretty bad. Targeting on the middle group here, the lone German unit. The tanks are not firing, they're just waiting and see. These guys are moving and winding road here, and I don't know when they're going to arrive, maybe by turn 20, if they're quick enough. And these guys are making their way, but somebody lost their footing or something, or they oh yeah, I gave them a command to hide. I don't know whether it's actually working. They're all like dropping to the ground in the bush to try to conceal themselves as much as possible, but I think the Germans have already seen us because tanks are actually moving, and one tank is actually moving toward our direction, toward the river. Yeah, so turn 6, yeah, moving pretty fast, moving pretty briskly. Here I'm kind of stumped, trying to move the middle group, the left infantry toward the back of our middle group here, big charge, toward the river, yeah, like that. I edited this just to show the action first and foremost, so might be missing out some of the details. I hope you get to see everything though, what is happening. So the artillery spotters are now spotting. There's 2 of them. And here we are still making our way. And the other guys on near the river are trying to make or sneak their way across the river. So it's going to take a long time though. Sneaking is itself basically crawling, so I don't know how they're able to crawl through the river. Could have just given them a move command and be done with it. Come out with better result. And you can see the infantry moving, the middle group under machine gun fire moving toward the back of our other infantry regiment or battalion, or I don't know what the size of the groups. The mortars are still firing at the self-propelled gun, which is clearly a martyr. Yeah, I think they're going to identify it as a martyr soon enough. And more machine gun fire from the German side as we try to pepper them with mortar. And they have seen us. Yeah, the Germans have definitely seen us and already had primed their artillery. I think they had like some kind of a some kind of artillery position marked right there near the riverbank, so I think they're able to shoot with a moment's notice. And the guys were now closest to the village are being pummeled. Yeah, once again the Stuke 3 I think is trying to target our artillery spotter, the guy who still tries to find a position so that they can spot. Yeah, they're throwing toward the ledge, which is not good. And here is the guys who made it to the riverbank, being pummeled by the artillery, unfortunately.
Stay down, boys! We're surrounded! We're surrounded!
Oh my goodness, yeah, the Piat was hit, so out of 2-man unit, only 1 man is remaining, so it's really precarious. Might lose my Piat, which is not going to be good for my advanced party. Trying to sneak across the river, but it's going to take a long time. These tanks cannot arrive at the village fast enough. Didn't really give any order for the tanks yet, but next turn is going to be different. Finally, I have spotted artillery for all my 3 artillery spotters. On the right side, we are trying to escape from the direct artillery fire. I gave 4 Shermans to move toward the distraught infantry to try and support it as best as they can. I don't know how, because obviously Shermans cannot cross the river. They have to use a bridge. And here we are moving infantry for the cover to, start perhaps maybe going down the hill toward the river as soon as the artillery on our side start firing. Yeah, still this guy is pinned. As you can see, they can see us, so it's not good. They can bring the panzers up and then try to shoot us with high explosive shells, and it's going to be, and they're doing exactly that. They're trying to shoot us across now this ravine toward our side, especially against the artillery spotter, which is going to be a huge loss, because if your artillery spotter is lost, then you immediately lose artillery fire. That spotter was responsible for. And I don't know where the German artillery spotter is, but definitely see what is happening down there, and it's making things very miserable for our guys here. I think we are losing some men, like the Piat unit.
Stay down! Stay down!
Yeah, stay down is all they can do. Except for that guy who's now crawling back. I think that guy was broken right from the get-go, as soon as the artillery started landing. And yeah, we can see a panzer from here. We gave them order to move to contact, and obviously you can see this guy perched on top of that area. And there's going to be some tank duel happening. Obviously we are in a lower position, but hold on position. And I think in terms of positioning, we are at a little disadvantage, but we are bringing more guns to the battle. Try to attack that assault gun, which obviously is a Stuke. Next turn, I hope that our artillery starts firing, and I think the delay was 3 minutes, so I think this turn is going to, we're going to hear some artillery over the village of Perano. Alright, so you're targeting the whole area. Unfortunately, we have to destroy the village in order to coax these Germans out. And the tank battle happening, firing with the MG, and that was a pretty good shot, but shell broke because obviously it wasn't strong enough armor-piercing shell against the frontal Stuke armor. The Stuke now has a read on this guy, which immediately retreat. Of course, he knows that he's not going to be able to handle it. Direct fire from the Stuke. I don't know how experienced it is. The other Sherman takes over, more courageous, but it's right in the, directly aimed by the Stuke. Finally, artillery starts landing on Perano, and it forced the Panzer IV to button up. Nothing landing here, it's a bit of delay.
Enemy tank, engage!
The tank view continues. Very surprising that we are able to see the tank from over there.
Keep your heads down, boys!
Probably just a sliver of tank that you can see, especially with the low profile of the German tank. And here we are still being hit. Yeah, not moving an inch. So we need to await the passing of the artillery strike. Try to bury it out. Yeah, something must happen. Something must happen for the main Sherman force. Has to probably get up to challenge the German panzers for our infantry to move up. Yeah, the mortar disappeared away from the border fire. Good decision on their part. Maybe they're awaiting for an ambush against the other Sherman group still on the road. Finally, I tried to sneak one of my guys toward the river for the fording point. And the tank duel is going to resume as soon as possible. And this guy have already turned another corner. Yeah, this guy is on the river, basically trying to move now instead of sneaking. I try to see what is happening on the other side of the river, whether they have more Germans hiding. Okay, so they got hit at the same time almost. And once again, unfortunately, the Stug was able to survive the shell, which broke up. But then the Sherman was knocked out. Still, the artillery is falling. At least one of the units made it to the river. And this guy is trying to get out of it all for the better cover. It's a really long slog. And the artillery finally striking near the middle. So this guy also has to button up. And I think a direct shot from the artillery is going to perhaps destroy it, but obviously this is enlarged +2, so the tanks you can see here are larger than what they actually are. So it's going to be able to escape a bit better, although the earth is shaking. Yeah, still making its way, surveying the surroundings for any ambushes. Yeah, so I lost one Sherman, which is very unfortunate. And the artillery strike is continuing. I have to buy my time. Here, I finally moved my Shermans up the hill. Just using the road, I don't want to, make the Shermans climb up the rocky area. Of course, the rocky area is going to take them more time, and also there's always the possibility of it breaking down on that. Anything other than open ground or road. And yeah, Shermans are making its way. It's getting rather close. I think we'll be able to reach it by around turn 15 if everything's good. And the artillery started firing on all cylinders. I don't know how they can actually... I don't know whether that makes any sense, but all the artillery units are now spotting and they're actively firing. This guy, I don't know whether he's destroyed or shell shock or anything, but it's not moving. The early, I think, Panzer IV. Yeah, just checking it out, and it's not really moving. Just sitting pretty right there, trying to ride it out. And you can see the Stug trying to move. I don't know exactly what he's trying to do. And finally, the main tank force started moving, and this guy trying to move up the hill, noticed by the Shermans, who now have in its sights. Yeah, it's a pretty, substantial amount of shells, but I don't know whether that's doing any damage. Although we are dissuading the panzers from coming out and targeting our infantry at least, covering fire. Yeah, so the Shermans are okay, so both of them are now tracking the Stug, and he's aimed to fire, he's ready to fire.
Listen up!
Just like this guy firing, and then immediately scooting. They know that they'll be destroyed by the Stug if the Stug is able to land full flash shot on their high profile armor. Yeah, so infantry is making its way, one of them in the middle group toward the river. And these guys are now actively engaged and spotting. I think there will be some adjustment in order, because on the right side at least the panzers have moved out of its way, so I might have to readjust. And here, yeah, so we are broken these Shermans into two groups, and they are, I think both of them are engaged with the Stug now, at 400 meters at most. You can see we have spent around half of the ammo for the artillery spotting, or artillery spotters. Really, doing those pretty quickly. I could probably stagger and reserve one artillery spotter for later on. It's going to take at least 3 minutes to fire again or readjust its aiming. So I need to make a really make the right decision to make it work. And this group just making its merry way on the other side of Perano is being hit by this German gun that was hidden and ambushed us. Yeah, it hit two tanks in very short order, so I think it was probably primed to hit any target. Had targeting already done for them on this road. And the second tank with its gun damage is rendered useless basically against armor targets. And we see a German hiding there in the foxhole, and the tanker that just got out has been eliminated. You can only shoot at this guy. So there is a German gun there, so we need artillery support to get it out. Nobody thought that this is going to be that easy, but I definitely expected some kind of ambush, but that was pretty bad. Okay, so finally, the two Shermans are able to get one Stug, and is able to destroy that. So Venge, the Sherman that is destroyed some turns earlier, and as you know it, yeah, artillery lands on with a similar spot of where the Stug was, targeting the Martyr, which is actually a crack unit. You gotta be really careful not to be seen by that self-propelled gun, and if you try to just target it with artillery and mortar as much as possible. Yeah, so that was the episode. So we saw some diversity in this turn at the tail end of this episode, and I don't know whether to readjust our artillery to face this guy. Probably I'm going to do that if it can be seen, and also the tanks to try to maybe push it forward now that we are able to knock out Stug 3, and maybe we're able to, under the cover of artillery fire, be able to have some target opportunity. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll come back with the next phase of Attack on Perano. Thanks for watching, and until next time, please stay tuned.